Penguin Random House Audio presents BÉBÉ Day by Day, 100 Keys to French Parenting by Pamela Druckerman. Read for you by Abby Craden. Note to listeners: accompanying this program is a downloadable PDF that includes recipes and meal plans. Introduction. When I wrote a book about what I'd learned raising 3 kids in France, I wasn't sure that anyone besides my mother would read it. Actually, I wasn't even convinced that she would make it all the way through. She tends to prefer fiction. But to my surprise, many non-relatives read the book too. For a while, there were lots of angry articles about it. Who was I to insult American parenting, if there really is such a thing? Surely there are lots of little French brats. Had I only researched rich Parisians? Was I extolling socialism? Or worse, bottle feeding? I'm the sort of person who hears any criticism of herself and immediately thinks, "That's so true." I fell into a funk. But then I started getting emails from regular American parents like me. I've posted many of these emails on my website. I quickly cheered up. They didn't think I'd falsely accused Americans of having a parenting problem. Like me, they were living that problem, and they were eager to hear about an alternative. Some parents told me that the book validated what they had already been doing privately, and often guiltily. Others said that they'd tried the book's methods on their kids, and that these really did work. No one was more relieved to hear this than me. Many asked for more tips and specifics, or for a version of the book, sans my personal backstory and voyage of discovery, that they could give as a kind of manual to grandparents, partners, and babysitters. This is that book. The 100 Keys to French Parenting are my attempt to distill the smartest and most salient principles I've learned from French parents and experts. You don't have to live in Paris to apply them. You don't even have to like cheese, though you should have a look at the recipes in the accompanying PDF. They're a sample of what kids in French daycares eat, and they're delicious for grown-ups too. I believe in all 100 keys, but they're not my inventions or my personal proclamations, and they're not all right for everyone. The French are very clear that every child is different, and that you should break the rules sometimes. As you listen to the keys, you'll start to notice that behind many of the individual tips are a few guiding principles. One of these principles was radical for me as an American. If family life is centered entirely on children, it's not good for anyone, not even for the kids. I think American parents have already figured this out. By now, we've seen the statistics showing that as this new intensive style of parenting has taken hold, the one that's popped up seemingly out of nowhere in the last 20 years, marital satisfaction, has fallen. Parents are famously less happy than non-parents, and they become even less happy with each additional child. Working mothers in Texas apparently prefer housework to childcare. The most depressing study of middle-class American families I read described how parents have gone from being authority figures to being valets for the child. Given the amount of short-order cooking and schlepping that goes on, I would add personal chefs and chauffeurs too. The clincher is that we're starting to doubt whether this demanding way of parenting is even good for kids. Many of our good intentions, from the baby brain-building videos to the all-consuming quest for college admittance, now seem to be of questionable value. Some experts call the first generation of kids to graduate from this brand of child-rearing teacups because they're so fragile and worn that the way we're defining success is making these children unhappy. Obviously, French parents don't do everything right, and they don't all do the same things. The keys describe the national conventional wisdom. It's what French parenting books, magazines, and experts widely say that you should do, and what most of the middle-class parents I know actually do, or at least believe they should be doing. A French friend of mine said she planned to give a copy to her brother so he could become more French. A lot of French wisdom feels like common sense. I've gotten letters from readers describing the overlaps between French parenting and Montessori, or the teachings of a Hungarian-born woman named Magda Gerber. Others assured me it's what we Americans did before Reaganomics, the psychotherapy boom, and that study saying that poor kids don't hear enough words when they're little. Let's just say that the American upper middle class massively overcompensated. Some French ideas have a power and elegance that's all their own. French parents to a great extent believe that babies are rational, that you should combine a little bit of strictness with a lot of freedom, and that you should listen carefully to children, but not do everything they say. Their ability to move kids beyond kid foods is remarkable. Above all, the French think that the best parenting happens when you're calm. What's really neat is that in France, you have an entire nation in real time trying to follow these principles. It's like a country-sized control group. Come visit. You'll be amazed. The main reason why French parenting is relevant to us now is that it's a kind of mirror image of what's been happening in America. We tend to think we should teach kids cognitive skills, such as reading, as soon as possible. They focus on soft skills like socializing and empathy in the early years. We want kids to be stimulated a lot. They think downtime is just as crucial. We often hesitate to frustrate a child. They think a child who can't cope with frustration will grow up miserable. We're focused on the outcomes of parenting. They think the quality of the 18 years or so you spend living together counts for a lot, too. We tend to think long-term interrupted sleep, routine tantrums, picky eating, and constant interruptions are mostly inevitable when you have little kids. They believe these things are impossible. I'm a journalist, not a parenting expert. So what really sold me on the French principles was the data. Many things that French parents do by intuition, tradition, or trial and error are exactly what the latest American research recommends. The French take for granted that you can teach little babies how to sleep through the night, that patience can be learned, that too much praise can be damaging for children, that you should become attuned to a baby's rhythms, that toddlers don't need flashcards, that tasting foods makes you like those foods, all things that science is telling us too. Please take this audiobook as inspiration, not doctrine, and be flexible. One of the French sayings I didn't have room for was, "You have to keep changing what you do." Kids change quickly. When they do, you can keep the same guiding principles, but apply them differently. I hope that this book helps make that possible. Rather than giving lots of specific rules, it's more like a toolbox to help parents figure things out on their own. As the old saying goes, don't give a man a filet de salmon à la vapeur d'un fenouil, just teach him how to fish. And don't worry about socialism. American parenting is changing, as it always does. But whatever our next phase is, it won't be French, or Chinese, or Icelandic. It'll be our own home brew. I'm delighted to toss in some ideas. My mother, at least, thinks I'm onto something. Chapter 1. A croissant in the oven. All pregnant women worry. You're making a human being, after all. Some of us can barely make dinner. But in America, worrying can become an Olympic sport. We feel we must weigh whether each bite of food we eat is in the baby's best interest. All this angst doesn't feel pleasant, but often it does feel necessary. We're sick.
Sample complete. Ready to continue?